Sportsbook at LeBears is open 24 hours a day, 365. They've got all the kiosks, and then they have the Man Sportsbook during the day. So go on by, check them out, place those bets for the national championship game, the playoffs this weekend, you name it, NBA. TK joining us today, as he does on Wednesdays, from Court Street Cafe in Port Allen, and I'm being brought to you by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame studios. Tommy, we'll talk today on Sports Shorts about the big win for LSU men's basketball last night over Kentucky. They were led by 5 at halftime. They wind up, covering for those gamblers out there on a frenetic last, 10 to 15 seconds of the game. It was crazy. They blew a 9-point lead, got down to 1, ended up covering the spread. So a big win against a ranked team in Kentucky, even though Kentucky was a little shorthanded by a couple players. On a special night, Dale Brown court naming night, there was probably, 40 former players of different eras that were there in the building. And Shaquille had a video message, but some of the greats like Ricky Blanton and Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf were actually there in attendance. Stanley Roberts was there, Wayne Sims, obviously one of the all-time greats from the 81 Final Four team. That's I'm drawing a blank on Tommy.
You're right. I was doing some shares.
81 Final Four team for LSU. Great basketball player. Rudy Macklin. Jesus.
Rudy Macklin. Rudy.
Took me like 20 seconds. Had a little brain issue. Rudy was in the house. It was a special night. And 86 years old is Dale Brown. His wife was with him. His daughter. I'm glad they did it while he was alive. Had a chance to, appreciate it. Some of the fans cheered. Nobody booed. Some didn't cheer, which is just odd to me. Like, put your political or whatever angst you may have against Dale. The guy was the greatest basketball coach in the history of LSU. He did nothing but enhance the brand, enhance the product, brought all these wonderful, great players and attention to college basketball in Baton Rouge. Imagine what LSU basketball would be if Dale Brown hadn't come to Baton Rouge. So I'm just surprised that I don't know if people even understand maybe why they didn't cheer for those. It was a small amount, but why you weren't giving him a standing ovation cheering is beyond me. Like, the guy's a great guy. He cares about human rights and all kinds of things that most of us, quite honestly, don't care about or do anything about. But yet that guy has done it all his life. So, to me, you should have honored him and stood on your feet and given him an ovation. So big win for LSU. Let's talk about the Tax Slayer Bowl, Tommy, and I'll let you chime in. Tigers paid a heavy tax last night in Houston. We knew. Look, it was a big win for me. Won some money because I thought Kansas State was going to win all along. Got it when it was a pick'em line. As it turned out, you could have bought it a minute before kickoff and still won money if you'd have taken Kansas State. But the bigger concern for me, Tommy, is you can only sign 32 players. You can only sign 32 players, 25 high school, 7 transfers to scholarships. Now, you can technically walk on, and maybe there'll be some walk-on players that walk on and somehow don't pay because of NIL and other things. But to me, LSU needs more help in the future than 25 freshmen and 7 transfer portal players. Considering, look at a lot of the players last night, some of them are seniors and leaving. So, Brian Kelly is going to have his work cut out for him next season, replenishing the talent to be the level that we expect LSU to be, and that is an 8-4, 9-3 team at minimum.
Well, Ronnie, 2 years ago, they were on top of the college football world. Right now, they're very close to the bottom of the Power 5. Okay, was it 60-something teams in the Power 5? They have went totally rock bottom with this program, with the numbers and all the other things that we know about. And Brian Kelly can only go upward. I don't see how it could be any worse. But you're right. It's going to be an interesting 9 months until they play Florida State down in the Superdome. But more importantly, it's going to take 2 years to get this back to where you can compete in the SEC West and try to win a championship. But in a way, it was tough to watch when you realize where they were 2 years ago and where they are now. You can make a long list of reasons of why it is that way, but I guess you can't worry about that. You got to say, how do we right the ship? How do we get it trending going back the other way? But man, this is that was a JV football team out there last night, and John T. Kirkland, that's the guy. They need more young people, using him as a model. Here's a guy that played cornerback, wide receiver, ran the scout team, and now first pass he ever throws is an LSU Tigers in the bowl game. He did whatever his coaches asked him to do. He had a great career at Desterham, and I mean, I got all the admiration for that guy for what he did, and I think he helped his teammates. And then Brad Davis, the coach. I mean, he had those guys in the right mindset. And look, if you're Kansas State, don't be peacocking too much, okay? You beat a JV team, okay, that's good, but you don't want to brag about this one too much if you're Kansas State.
Greg Schilling with the football, proud of the 39 scholarship players wanting to play and not wanting to quit despite the outcome. Want teams that want to play and find a way to compete. Chance Babin chiming into what you were saying about recruiting and rebuilding. It all starts with building a dominant offensive line.
And Brian Kelly's been known for that. He's put a lot of linemen from Notre Dame into the NFL. So, there's a little thing there with him in getting, linemen developed once you get them on campus. It's two parts. You got to get them on campus and you got to develop them.
Tommy, I would say this, that I think look, the quarterback situation will take care of itself. I mean, you're going to have 3 good quarterbacks next year. Maybe by fall. I mean, obviously somebody can transfer next in the summer even. But right now, you're going to have Howard, Brennan, and Nussmeier at the moment. But to me, the concern comes on that offensive line and on that defense. And, it's disappointing that I get it if you're a top 10 draft pick, right? I'm glad Corral played for Ole Miss. I'm sad for him. He hurt his ankle. It's a high ankle sprain. Everything indications that's not going to affect his draft stock. But he could have gotten run up from behind and torn his ACL. So I credit Matt Corral for playing. I don't know how it works as far as insurance policies and things like that for the game. Were they able to find him one or any of that kind of stuff that we don't know about? That potentially could have been the case. But I credit Matt Corral. But also I would have understood if Matt Corral would have said, no, I'm not going to play, and wouldn't have hated him for it, because it's a difference, Tommy, when you're a lock of the week, high first-round pick like Matt Corral is. There's a difference between a quarterback. Every quarterback that's worth a crap gets drafted way earlier than they should. Quarterbacks are valued more than any other position, and we know Matt Corral's going to be a first-round pick. I don't care how he stinks it up in workouts in February and March. But somebody like, say, Neil Farrell Jr., okay? If you were to see Neil Farrell Jr. at the dry cleaners, you wouldn't think that guy's a defensive lineman in big-time college football. Not a physical specimen whatsoever, okay? Neil Farrell Jr., as good as he graded out and everything like that we heard all year. Oh, he graded out great. He does not look like an NFL defensive lineman physically. He doesn't look like an NFL. So for me, Neil Farrell Jr. is not going to be a high draft pick, because as good as he was, he doesn't have the physical attributes to be. So somebody like Neil Farrell Jr., why not play one more time? Do you not appreciate the university that stuck by you? Do you not love the game? To me, if you're not a lock of the week first-round pick, why wouldn't you want to play? The whole idea to kill yourself in workouts and practice and all the crap you got to go through is for the joy of playing. And everybody's so concerned about the next thing, the next money, the getting to nobody wants to play anymore. Hardly anybody plays. It's like as few games as possible. Can I get out of high school early? Can I get out of college early to get to the NFL to then struggle to maybe make it and play 3 years? Like, it's like, where are the players, who just loves the game? And unfortunately, it seems like everything else is a distraction. And I know I got off on a tangent, but I'd love to see more players that just love to play, Tommy.
Ron, 99% of the guys playing are not going to have a great NFL career. Okay, some of them are going to be there for a little bit, whatever. Yeah, but you're right. The whole concept of my team, my teammates, let's do the best we can. It's out the window, man. It's a selfish individual thing now. Not unique to LSU. Lots of schools are dealing with this in all sports. High schools are dealing with this. It's just the landscape has changed with the guts and the heart and you do what your coach asks you to do, and you do it the best you can every single play, snap, trip down the court, pitch in baseball, whatever it is. We don't have as much of that as we once did.
Jared Lee last night during the game, Jared Lee, threw 18 interceptions, whatever, his freshman year. Put Lee in, he tweeted during the game.
Well, and again, I got all the respect in the world for John Trey Kirkland, but it was tough to watch. And again, I'm Kansas State, you better check it up a little bit. Just be quiet and prepare for next season because you didn't accomplish much.
Brad Davis 8 hours ago, so roughly 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that, he tweeted, the interim coach, "I'm overwhelmed by the support I've received from the state of Louisiana and LSU supporters. I'm sorry I wasn't better tonight. To the players who stayed and fought until the end, I love you. I'm forever indebted to you. The future is bright with Coach Kelly. Be encouraged." So, put that.
Ronnie, have you ever, what the envelope game is for the football? Like with the board, you got squares. With the envelope, you just got numbers 0 through 9. You $5, $10 a line. I had $100 coming my way until that touchdown at the buzzer. I was the winner. I'm like, okay, kneel on it. And then I was going to win $100, okay?
81-yard touchdown at the buzzer, guys.
There goes TK's $100 bill right out the window. I mean, I only put up 10, so it's not, but I was almost ready to count. I was about to order a round of drinks for everybody, and then I see the guy running for the end zone. I go, hold on.
Corey Kiner said, "Thanks, so thankful for my teammates and coaches this season. Wasn't anything that we wished for, but lessons were learned and bonds were definitely made 100%. Thank you, LSU football."
Brian Kelly's got a lot to do in the locker room and on the practice field, and I think he'll do it. It's just not going to happen overnight. Next 9 months, like I said, it could be very interesting for LSU football. February 2, signing day, transfer portal stuff, spring practice. I mean, it's it's all right around the corner, and then they open the season in New Orleans against Florida State. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting time. And all along, people will be watching Will Wade and Kim Mulkey and Jay Johnson and the other, Beth Torina. They're going to be checking all that out.
A lot of just encouragement. Deculus, thank you for everything and forever LSU. So Austin.
By the way, I read he's played
more games played than anyone.
More football games for the LSU Tigers than any other player.
Yeah, and we'll always have that record because of COVID and everything. The extra year. As it turns out, I ended up not going to the game with CST. We ended up not doing a post game, and because of how late the game started, and because of all the access to locker rooms and things like that. So no reason to go for work, and then was planning on going, but just wasn't 100%, and was like, I don't know if I want to go all the way to Texas and back and all that. So ended up not going. Did go to the PMAC. Glad I made that decision. Glad I was there. Thought I got a chance to talk to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, who got inducted into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame in August. Wasn't able to be at the ceremony in August because his team, the 3-on-3 league, was literally playing in the championship in the Bahamas the day of the induction. So we talked about that, and we talked about getting him there in the future for so we can honor him, with the Walk of Legends and stuff like that in the future. He was great to see. It was great to see a lot of former players. Glad for Dale. You could tell that this meant a lot to people like Rudy Macklin, the Collis Temple Jr. They were super excited. They've been Tim Brando was there. They've been lobbying on his behalf to try to get the court named after him for years, and finally they did it. Which was interesting, Tommy. They were lined up in the tunnel, 2 tunnels. One tunnel on one end had most of all the former players, and then the tunnel that I was seating by was where Dale Brown was lined up. Well, at the end of the first half, if you remember, there was the air ball by Kentucky with like a second to go. Fudge, the LSU post player, kind of boxed out his man, but he let the ball bounce and right in front of him because he's too worried about boxing out as opposed to going for the ball. And he lets a Kentucky player get the ball off of one bounce and then shoot it at the buzzer and get a 2, to cut the lead from 7-5. And it happened right in front of Will Wade. And Will Wade lost his mind. I mean, he was screaming and hollering at him and flailing his arms. I was just so pissed off. Deservedly so, by the way. And he did it, and Dale Brown was right there. Like, all this happened right in front of Dale Brown. And it was as soon as Will Wade walked off, screaming and hollering and cursing and yelling, which I would have done the same thing. They're like, "Ladies and gentlemen, turn your attention to Shaquille O'Neal on the screen." It was.
Well, Ronnie, I saw that whole thing with Will Wade when they got that cheap bucket at the end, and he was furious, like you said. That's Will Wade, okay? I guarantee you didn't want to be in that locker room when that team got in there and he started talking, okay? And that may have had a lot to do with the second half. You know what it reminded me of, Ronnie? Remember about, 7-8 years ago, Alabama football was like up 42-0 in the corner. That got turned around and burned for a touchdown, and Saban crawled up his ass one side and down the other, and everybody's like, "What's 42-0? There's 2 minutes to go in the game. What's he mad about?" Well, he's demanding the best out of the player. That's what I thought of when I saw Will Wade when that happened at the buzzer at halftime last night. That's him. That's Kim Mulkey. That's what great coaches do. Is you coach every second of every game. So that's going to be a lesson learned for the Tigers. Hey, you got Tennessee coming to town Saturday. I think it'll be a great crowd again at the PMAC. And hey, Ronnie, from the business end, look at LSU last night. ESPN from 6 o'clock till midnight. Brian Kelly got interviewed. You got, Dale Brown thing. They couldn't have bought that advertising that they got. LSU night on ESPN, for lack of a better word, with basketball and football, and and it was the only football game. So every highlight show on every platform talked about LSU football, and so we don't have football again until Saturday afternoon. There's a couple of NFL games, but it was a big night business-wise for LSU. Now we'll see what happens going forward.
I don't know how many people were necessarily, watching LSU after about 10 o'clock Central Time. But yeah, no, you're right. They dominated that window of opportunity, and especially to get things started with a big win over Kentucky in a packed house. By the way, Kim Mulkey was at the game. She was sitting on the first row, right behind the basket on the LSU bench side. She stayed the whole time. Of course, she'll be in action on Thursday, taking on number 1 ranked South Carolina. I even looked online just to see because I knew tickets were going to be tough to come by. Tickets in the lower bowl, if you can find any on StubHub and all that, are going for what you would expect. Tickets like that over $100. So it's a big game. It's our first giant game at LSU against a number 1 ranked team. They announced that on the PA at the PMAC, showed her, encouraged people to come Thursday night. She gave a big, L and all that salute. So it was. LSU basketball right now rolling, absolutely rolling.
Ronnie, who started the L thing?
I don't know where it started.
When? It's not been around forever. I know that.
Not forever.
It's not like forever. 10 years ago or 8 years ago?
No, I think people did it from time to time, and now it's an avalanche, and, that's all you do. But, yeah, I definitely feel like it was probably in the last 10 years that it just took off. I don't remember Nick Saban on the podium
doing the L.
Or Miles on the podium in 2007. I'll have to ask Jacob, but I don't remember during the Hester days and Dorsey and all that, if they were really flashing the L back then. I'll ask. But I feel like it's in the last decade that had happened. Chance letting us know that Simone Augustus is going to be honored at the South Carolina game. Ooh, that's pretty nice. All time.
That'll help bring some people in there.
She
4
is
trips to the Final Four she had at LSU. That's not too bad.
She's the female version of Pistol Pete, no question about it, except won a little bit more thanks to a better supporting cast than what Pistol had. Kip Kipper saying, where was Woodward? Did not see him anywhere. I'm assuming he was at the football game because, it's, bigger check, bigger moment, big national stage. Had Kelly his hire on TV and all that. He wasn't at the PMAC, so I'm assuming for sure he was at the bowl game, which is where he should be. It's a postseason game versus a regular season game. Let's see. Let's talk Saints for a minute. TK, give us your thoughts. Saints find themselves a 4-point favorite. Before we get into that, I want to forget about this. This is a scenario that, oh my God, I hope if there's a God in heaven that he allows this to play off. If the Jaguars can beat the Colts on Sunday, then the night game, that NBC game between the Chargers and the Raiders, if it ends in a tie, both teams make the playoffs. Okay, so the Jaguars beat the Colts, which isn't going to happen. We know that, right? They just got beat by 40 to the Patriots. The Jaguars have already punched their ticket for sandals or beaches or whatever trip they got planned each player next week. But if they pull off the upset of upsets and beat the Colts, literally, if the Chargers and the Raiders decide, you know what, let's just kneel on it. Then both teams make the playoffs. Now, if they play the game, only one gets in and one doesn't. So, man, I would love to see that happen. That would be incredible.
That would be obviously they'd play the game, and then if it was tied at the end, overtime might be a lot of quarterback sneaks. Just look, hey, wait, we're just going to sneak it. You sneak it, and because it's overtime, only 10 minutes. They can wipe that off the clock.
Now, listen, I know that that's never going to happen, but I mean, as a player, I get a game check, I get a playoff check. Doesn't factor in anything. I get to stay healthy for a week. I get to sit out a week and rest for the playoffs. I mean, I get it. They're going to play the game. But I can assure you, I would love it. It would just be great because hey, we this is the rules. If we tie, we both are in. Like, why would we risk injury? Why would we risk not?
What if they both have a COVID outbreak?
Yeah. Well, regardless, they're going to play. It's going to be like Kansas State and LSU, the most vanilla game you've ever seen. Yeah. Just a lot of handoff left, handoff right. You might have 5 passes or something, maybe. Like it's just going to be let's run the clock, let's get the game over with, kind of thing.
But back to the Saints. I mean, obviously, everybody knows the scenario. They're a 4-point favorite at Atlanta, 3:25 on Sunday. At the same time, the Rams and the 49ers play. 2 things have to happen for the Saints to make the playoffs. Saints win, Rams win. That's what it'll have. Saints win, 49ers win? No. Saints lose? No. So it's very, very simple. I had somebody tell me, well, we want them to lose so they get higher draft pick. They're not going to get that much higher of a draft pick. Forget that. You want to make the playoffs.
Right.
And, try to catch lightning in the bottle, win a playoff game, make a run. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting for Saints fans Sunday. Everybody going to be wearing up. Charge up your phone at night before because you'll be checking that 49ers score the whole day.
Do you agree with Chance? Sean Payton should be coach of the year if they make the playoffs?
I read something about that. Well, it's not going to be. He's not going to be. But, for people who follow the Saints and they know what this team's been through, they've used 4 different quarterbacks. He's only had 4 quarterbacks in his whole time with New Orleans up until this year, and he's got 4 this year. And we know that's because of Brees' longevity and then some injuries and COVID this year. But Sean Payton's he's a Super Bowl winning coach, and he's well respected and makes a lot of money. So, yeah, he's done a good job with the cards that have been dealt to him.
I agree that if somehow the Saints can finish 9-7 and make the playoffs,
and then you and Jab Step push.
then we would push on our bet, me and Joel, and nobody would owe the other dinner at Doe's Eat Place. So the scenario for those that give a crap about our bet: Saints lose, Ronnie wins. I go to Doe's, Tommy and I go. We eat tons of tamales. We get the crab meat on top, the whole deal on our steaks, whatever. Run the tab up as big as we can. Get a dessert to go, you name it. But if the Saints win, no dice, no blood. Nobody owes anybody anything. Look at for example a team like the Panthers. Okay, they've got Sam Darnold, who a lot of teams anybody would have taken when he came out of college. Guy was first pick. I mean, everybody wanted him in the league. Cam Newton's been to a Super Bowl, and when those guys are on a quarterback, they can't do anything offensively. Nothing. You put Taysom Hill at quarterback and Drew and what is 6-2, 7-2, something like that. Like, talking about Sean Payton, he wins. And it doesn't look as bad as it does for other teams. They look more organized. They look like they have a plan. It's not pretty, but I guarantee you put Sam Darnold with the New Orleans Saints, he's a hell of a lot better player. And that's the key to being a good coach.
Yeah, no, there's no question about that. So, we talk about it. It's going to be interesting going forward for LSU. It's also going to be very interesting going forward for the Saints. Do they get Russell Wilson? Do they end up with Aaron Rodgers? I read one article where Baker Mayfield, a possible landing spots includes New Orleans, which a lot of Saints fans won't like that. But, we'll have to see. Let it play out.
Rachel, how much do you make? What drop in our little message. What did you bet on Joe Burrow to win the MVP? What were the odds? How much did you put down? What will you win? I don't think it's going to happen because it's kind of a body of work, and it's probably going to be Patrick Mahomes, I would think.
I don't know, Ronnie. The Bengals are should beat the Browns Sunday. Okay, and if Burrow throws up another big number, which is very possible, I don't know. It's all about who comes out. Who finishes strong.
How much did you put on that 80-1 prop bet, Rachel? Was it $10, $100?
So that was 80 to it was plus 800. Is that what she's saying?
I think she's saying $20 to win 5,000.
Well, that's not 80 to 1.
When did you? When did you?
$20 if you win 5,000. That means it was plus 2,500. It would have been plus 2,500.
Rachel, you 1,000% sure on that?
Where's your ticket, Rachel? Put your ticket. Text the ticket to Ronnie.
So she did it in the preseason. She made the prop bet in the preseason. Did Rachel? By the way, Rodgers, right? Chance Babin's correct. Aaron Rodgers is going to win the MVP. 100%. 100%.
I would think that he's the leader. I think he's the leader. I think he's the leader today, and he may remain the leader.
Yeah, he may not even play. He doesn't even have to play this coming week. But Aaron Rodgers will win that. But if Patrick Mahomes would have beaten Burrow and had a big game and all that, maybe he gets into the conversation late. But Aaron Rodgers, 3 years in a row, they've won 13 games, which has never been done before in the NFL. So pretty amazing stuff. Let's see. I'm trying to see. I guarantee. What do you think, Joe Burrow next year will probably be about 5-1, Tommy?
Well, I tell you, he's trending in the correct direction.
All right, tell us about Court Street Cafe.
Well, Court Street Cafe, they're looking forward to a great year here in 2022. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Got lunch specials, dinner specials. Check them out on Facebook and Instagram. Jason and the staff do a great job here. Got a nice patio out front. Weather's going to warm up a little bit today. So check out Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Ronnie, I live in the Jefferson Bluebonnet area of Baton Rouge. It took me less than 15 minutes to get here this morning. That getting over the bridge. I mean, come on, folks. If you work downtown or you work in the LSU area, you can get over that bridge and get to Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Very easy to find, plenty of parking. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, 7 days a week. You need to check them out. And, again, connect on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, so we'll be back on Friday morning. Tommy will be over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. We talked about LSU football's disappointment last night. I think it's going to be a long and bumpy road. They have got so many deficiencies. They're going to have to sign all 32 players and maybe hope for a few walk-ons that really aren't to fill out their roster for next year. LSU basketball rolling. Big
Kim Mulkey, big one for Kim Mulkey tomorrow.
Big for LSU basketball to get Murray back. You can tell they really missed him against Auburn. He can hit that 15-foot jumper, things that he provides offense that LSU doesn't.
I got one comment, Ronnie, and you played basketball in high school. You're very good. And I'm old school, but I counted last night. At one time, there were 9 different color shoes on the floor of the 10 players. And I'm not, LSU and Kentucky. I mean, you got yellow, you got green, you got purple, you got black, you got blue, you got white. I mean, Ronnie, I know when I played high school basketball, everybody had the identical shoe. Even if you were the 15th guy on the end of the bench, you had the same shoe as the all-state point guard, and that just drives me nuts. But I realize that they got to express themselves with their shoe. But that's just, I look at that and I go, this looks like what you'd see in the intramural building,
It's the same reason.
In the field house, when you have a pickup game, you would expect them all to have different shoes, but come on. But the coaches aren't going to stop it because they got to let the kids be the kids, I guess. Yeah. But it drives me nuts. And it's not just LSU, Kentucky. Turn on any game in the country, and it's craziness.
Yeah, I hate it too. It looks terrible, but it is what it is. If that kid's going to go pick a different college if you have a shoe.
Yeah, you can't wear. You're playing at LSU. You can't wear a green shoe. He's going to go somewhere else that'll let him wear a green shoe.
So crazy. All right. We'll be back on Friday.
Radio Saturday. We'll be out at the casino, right?
Yeah, we'll be at LeBear's on Saturday morning from 10 to noon. So come on by and visit us.
I'm heading out there for a concert in a couple of weeks, Ronnie.
Which one?
Marshall Tucker Band. Saturday the 15th. Now, it's not Toy Caldwell's not there and all that, but I'm looking forward to it.
Is no Marshall, no Tucker, but it's the Marshall.
Well, no, that's not why they weren't named after a person, but no. I mean, they can't play many songs that you've never heard if you're our age, and I am older than you by a couple of years. Everybody knows that, but I'm looking forward to being out at the event center at LeBear's and checking out the Marshall Tucker Band week from Saturday.
Yeah, a lot of good concerts coming up. So
they do. Some other ones.
Travis Tritt's going to be there in February.
Aaron Lewis in April. Yeah. That'll be a big one.
People need to go check out. Go to Ticketmaster.com, or you can go, of course, download the LeBear's Baton Rouge app and check it all out. All right, he's Tommy. I'm Ronnie. We'll be back on Friday. Until then, have a great one, everybody. You've been watching Sports Shorts presented by LeBear's Casino. Please like and share. That's your cost of admission to the show.